Test 1, 2, 3.
Brenda, we ready? So, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. 4 o'clock. We'll get started with our CAC meeting. Welcome, everyone. I'm Rich Simmons, chair of the CAC. So, let's get some introductions going around the room. My left.
David Bailey, representing Ybor Neighborhood Civic Association.
Michael Edmund, Silver Media Gallery. Andrew White.
Ybor Merchants Association.
Marsha Austin, member at large.
Those kind of sheriff's office.
Grant House, resident, and property owner in New York.
Olivia Egg at large, Historian Corporation, property.
David Shiver, Ybor Chamber. Steve Martin, Ybor Museum Society.
Ned Lopez. Enforcement. Mike Peterson. Jack Smith, HDFF.
Larissa Bahia, ACC, Oklahoma City. Amelia Brown, Tampa Bay Water.
I said City of Tampa Water Department Conservation Entities.
That's Ross, community redevelopment.
D. Reed, Community Redevelopment. Here, State and Community Redevelopment. Maureen Lively, Community Redevelopment.
Jason Stewart, yes team.
Dave Bell, Ybor Chamber. Dan Couch, Tampa PD.
Ethan, Tampa Bay.
Jason Leto.
We've had a couple of rivals to do a quick introduction.
Patty Cassie, just live in the area.
Perfect.
As well, Vice Chair.
Okay. And we did one more officer coming in.
Yes, right.
That's right. Okay, perfect. Visitors, if you're not on our board, there's a sign-in sheet floating around. Please make sure that you do sign in so we can maintain a record. I'm not sure if anyone has that right now. Jose. Okay. We'll move into public comment. Anyone here have any public comments that they would like to address?
I do. Hi, Chris Arian. On behalf of some property owners, I would like to ask the CAC board to consider approaching the city for Penny Soul, who owns the Club Sky, business and the building is receptive to selling the property. We would like the CRA to consider exploring utilizing funds in the Ybor CRA currently allocated to affordable housing to purchase the building. The city would retain ownership of the building, utilize it as a black box theater and community place. The reasons that we're recommending it are that this CRA is a business district, so there's nowhere in the district where affordable housing can be built. And there is an apartment on the property that could be converted for at least 1 unit. So we're asking for a motion to at least have the city explore the possibility of purchasing the building. Who's that? Some local business, local property owners. Yeah.
And they want to use it for
Community, potentially a performing arts community.
how are we tying that to affordable housing?
This is just a public comment right now.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Any other people would like to say anything under public comment? Okay. Okay, so in your packet are the minutes from the January 23rd CAC meeting. Has everyone had a chance to review? Or a motion, corrections? Second on the motion, any discussion or corrections? All in favor of accepting the minutes of the January 23rd, 2024 as written? Say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And we'll start with the update, Captain College with TPD, please.
Good evening. Sure what it is for me. I'm just going to wake up real quick on I believe it's including your package. But what I'd like to highlight is this time compared to last year, numerator crimes were down over 20%, almost 21%. And then Thursday through Sunday night, 9 o'clock to 04 in the morning, we're down almost 54% in crime. So it really made a difference. I think the tragic events of October 29th, I don't want to say it was an opportunity, but there was a shift, right? We realized, okay, I can get it, and we're seeing the results already. I could say our big five crimes, which are robbery, burglary, auto theft, auto burglary, down, just random numbers, we're down like 41%. So we're doing very well. Some grids, like Ybor's divided into two grids, 128, 129. 129, I don't even want to go over because there's zeros. So it's amazing. So we're happy with that. What I really want to do, because I know time is limited. So I think I mentioned this, police department, every year we transition, give the officers shifted so they can pick by seniority, who they work for, where they want to work, shift that they want to work, part of the city, the district they want to work. And, you know, it's a 2-day process. We also have protected slots, which are liaison officers. And we have some, our new liaison officers here today. We actually increased the number of liaison officers we have in Ybor. We went really with 3 dedicated to now 4, so we have an overlap and 7-day-a-week coverage. So we have 4 assigned to Ybor. I have 6 downtown per cycle, or 5, depending on the squad. But I have the ability to move those officers here to Ybor to help out. So you'll see more officers out here. I know last year you might have seen them in the black hands, the black polo, and the tan CAC. This is a decision I made to put them back in uniform, at least for the time being, because I feel that every police officer in the city of Tampa should be a liaison police officer, approachable, not just, I'm just going to talk to the person in a polo shirt because that's the person that usually deals with these issues. No, all police officers should be effective in dealing with issues and all should be approachable. So there should be no difference. They don't know it yet, but probably I'll get with the pager and probably offer maybe changing out to the black and tan every so often. But for now, I want them in uniform just to get that foundation. Everybody understands that we're all saying we're all approachable. We all should be able to help. So most of you know me, David Hall, commander for this area. I have downtown for the river, Channel Side, Sparkman War, Ybor, Palmetto Beach, out to the creek, everything pretty much south of I-4 to the Bay and the river, and then to basically to the county boundary. And Reverend Armature Works is where I finish up at. But again, I'm going to ask officers to introduce themselves and we will open questions. Give me the top questions, okay? I don't want to.
I'm Officer Felipe. I've been with TPD for 2.5 years. This will be my 3rd. I purposely wanted this place, Ybor area, just because I also speak Spanish, and I kind of wanted to help bridge, the community businesses. Since some of them only speak Spanish, I wanted to help bridge that. I work during the morning, so from 6 a.m. to 5 o'clock usually. Then I have my he comes in right after me. I work for 4 days on and then 4 days off. Jimmy, I'm sure you guys have met him. I'm sure he's the one that works during the day.
Officer Jefferson, Ybor liaison. Chief goes. I wanted to answer any questions or any possibilities or problems that you guys have in Ybor that we can try to help out. I'm willing to take that extra step to make our business safe.
Sergeant Vince Leto and the TBD going on, 22 years this June, born and raised here in Tampa, raised in Fort City, so I definitely have that connection. I work the cycle B, all the jumps in under my command. I work evening shift from 3 p.m. until 2:30 a.m. And then on Friday, Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, we work starting.
So also, ordered phones for the officers that have city issued cell phones, so you'll be able to contact them. Our media relations office is publishing that now with a PDF form brochure, and updating that with all the current phone numbers. There'll be a photo and that's the officer's name. I'm horrible with names, so I need that recognition. But as soon as that, is published, I'll push that out. Any questions?
This Saturday night was pretty bad for the 1600 block of Fifth Avenue, so across the street from El Porto, what we've heard many times before, just a block party in terms of noise and people and drinking and drugs. And we called non-emergency TPD. I'm pretty sure you guys responded. I went back to bed to put the noise machine on, but to deter that so that we don't have to get out of bed and call you guys, the drive by and bumping the siren and flashing the spotlight does not get these guys to move on. And so it's something that's not getting any better on that block, and we're just trying to figure out what we can do to help you guys get there.
Well, really just, reporting in house, obviously. It's a big city. We do have a lot of officers here on Friday and Saturday nights. But our focus mainly is parking lots and Seventh Avenue. And you're right, I wish we could spend more time in some of the other streets. I do have, plainclothes officers that come out and they kind of stay on Seventh and kind of work south to Seventh. But you bring that to my attention, I appreciate it, because what I'll do is look at what the shift commander said, listen, we also need to engage more. Sometimes it's a common thing, right? You just want to get them moving on, but you're also isn't stopping the behavior. Engaging with them, putting a face with a name, knowing that you know who they are, maybe afraid of them. For the sake, we're all people. They're just gonna be for morning and try to let them in. We'll have to move when they do that, but when you engage them more intimately like that, kind of creates a change in behavior. So I'll be
Is the issue coming from the business that's on the southeast corner?
No, it's not a 717 parking lot. It's like a big lot there and people just, I've seen everything from donut competitions to just open drinking and drugs. All the doors open, stereos going, just don't give a shit, pardon my French.
hopefully there's a decision on the city ordinance change that may help us with that. I'm not sure what the timeline looks for that. We're supposed to have it on the workshop on the 22nd, but for some reason I got moved off the agenda. We're following that very closely. Yes, sir.
I have a question, and it's not really TBD. I appreciate all your efforts. I think you all doing a phenomenal job. My question is, are we doing anything to currently track the nighttime business? And if it's up or down, as a business owner out there and as the representative for the Merchants Association, it doesn't surprise me that crime's down because business is also down considerably. We've had a lot of businesses close over the last couple of months. Small business owners out there cannot survive because our numbers are so down. Sunday night, 75% of the businesses were closed. It was anemic out there. It was anemic out in Ybor last night. I had almost a sold out concert, but I would say I was probably 75% of the business that was even in the district yesterday. A lot of that nighttime economy supports daytime business. So if our nighttime economy is failing miserably, my concern is that, we're going to have a problem with the district survival rate. So I was just wondering if we're doing anything to track those nighttime numbers and since the shooting to see how our economy is doing. So, all right, we should do that. Thanks.
How would you propose doing that?
I mean, there's agencies we could hire to track the nighttime economy. There's national agencies we could hire. I'm sure there's local agencies. I'd be more than happy to look into it if there's a budget for it and report back at the next meeting. But I think we desperately need to track the nighttime economy in Ybor City to see what's happening with it.
That be just the nighttime only or both?
I think nighttime right now, because there's such a focus on the nighttime. I mean, when we did the Save Our Stages stuff, and we've already had all of our live music venues, except for mine, really move out of the district anyway. But when we did the Save Our Stages stuff and we did those studies, we found that for every dollar spent at a concert, $15 was spent in the community. At, restaurants where people were having dinner, at the shops. People, when they plan to go to a concert, many times they decide to stay at a hotel in the area. And if our nighttime economy is in the toilet, which it kind of is right now, my concern is kind of eventually hurt the daytime businesses and everything that Ybor's about. So if there's a budget for it, I'd be more than happy to bring back to the group.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're open to some ideas there of how this could go together, if you have companies and things, and then
Sure.
us as the CAC could make a recommendation to the CRA board that this is something that the community wants and we need to be able to track it. So they're the ones that have the purse strings, but we can certainly make.
I'm really happy to report that back to the group next meeting and hopefully something started.
Any other?
Does the homeless liaison come under your supervision?
Indirectly, yes. So
Because I noticed the last meeting, they didn't give a presentation, and this meeting, they're not even on the agenda. And to me, that's one of the more important considerations for us as a board, in terms of updates, particularly in the winter months, with the homeless being increased in terms of numbers here.
well,
Do you have any kind of report for us? Because like I said, there was none last month.
what information are you looking for?
Well, what's being done in terms of locations, putting people in the homeless shelters, when Randy was here, I mean, we could get a 15, 20-minute report in terms of people that she identified where they would be put, that type of thing.
Okay. And two homeless liaisons, they work either Monday through Thursday, Tuesday through Friday. They're busy. The majority of our homeless issues right now are downtown. I don't know if you've noticed or not. Obviously, the Greyhound bus station closed down, and then bus stop now is underneath the interstate over by Morgan and Scott. And what we're finding is that we're getting transient people other locations with no purpose or destination. They're just getting dropped off here in Tampa. So we're trying to work that problem. We're working with, when they stage their belongings, we help them. Like if they want it stored for them, we'll do that. If they discard it and leave it there, we're getting rid of it. Trying to identify what attracts them to certain areas so we can address those issues. Part of it is feeding. People feed people that need food. They're going to gravitate to where that's being done. We have no control over that because these organizations will come out and just start feeding people in the city park or on the side of the roadway. And that brings the whole group in and it'll stay. And we can't just tell people to move just for sake of moving. I know Gary, our homeless liaison, he gave me a report yesterday. I think one or two people got reunited with their families by buying them a bus pass. We won't buy a bus pass in the city of Panville unless we know that there's somebody on the receiving end of that trip. Otherwise, we're just doing, it's irresponsible. We're just get on the bus and leaving in about 35 years. We've probably done that in the past. We don't do it now. We won't get you reunited with your family or friend or somebody who cares, but we've got to make sure that they're there receiving end. Right. There's a lot going on.
I would just ask that we have them present on meetings that we have for many, many years. Someone from the homeless liaison.
Well, I'd much rather, respectfully, sir, I'd rather be that filter and provide that information. I'll work with Brenda and we can find out because their shift ends at 4 because they come in early. So that means I have to keep them beyond their work hours. And also, I'd rather have, I don't have to, and it really the whole city, even though they're based out of District 3. I'd rather have them working and being provided support than take time out of the day preparing.
Well, I respectfully disagree. They've been doing it for 10 years. With all due respect.
Okay, we can agree to disagree.
Okay, any other questions for TBD?
I think the reason the homeless are down is we go through this every winter. They come from up north, want to come, but they eat. So y'all are busier in the winter with the homeowner. Then code enforcement has it better because it's less rain and the grass is growing. So, you know, y'all are balancing each
It's
other
just like,
out.
we're attractive location. We understand that.
We go through this every winter. Especially now when the fair opens and the carnies are down. Same thing, counterfeit money, fake $20 bills are all over the area and 25 years. Stays with something.
Thank you, officers. We'll move into code enforcement, Mr. Peterson and the Lopez.
Good afternoon, Mike Peterson. I did provide the latest, this was for the month of January. Thing that came in, indicative of the other inspections, Officer Lopez has done. Follow-ups on the previous cases that I think that we sent a quarterly report for. But after speaking with David and Fran, rather than me trying to sort it out individually, I'm going to reach out with Fran tomorrow and I'll get with the analyst and have him listen in on the conversation and then maybe just run a test run so that Fran can see that, send it over to her. And if that's what we feel is, and share it with the rest of you, I think that'll be productive. As you see on this report of 25 complaints that came in, there's more than 25 on here, but you'll notice that some of the addresses have more than one violation. So there was again 25 complaints that were investigated, and then the other 100 and something inspections that he did total for the month are on previous that were opened either in October, November, December, and have made their way up the chain to the code board or civil court. If there's anything that stands out to you, I'd like to answer that question now.
Yeah, I spoke with, thank you. The board hears me every time for 260210. So finally, after all the complaining, you don't have to hear the active building permit. This is the first time I've ever hit a report in this month. Then I went through it, and like you said, a lot of them, it looks like a lot. One address has 4, another one has 3, and it looks like they put them really in no logical way for you to decipher it. They go by case number chronologically, then by date order. So I went through them and I put a G for Perry, I put an E for East Tampa, and a W for the west side. And then we only have one violation for 15th Street, one violation for 22nd Street, and none for 16, 17, 18, 19, all the way to 40th Street. So I realize this is 1 month, but it just seems like y'all are listing that somehow, if you say, we'll get together and see what we can iron out, because it's a lot of time for y'all in the IT department and this, but
Sure. And as I send that over, the only thing that I know that we can't do is separate by Gary, and we can separate by the district, which is tracks, our census tracks that we use, 38 and 39, which the dividing line is 40th. So I can have that split from 40th Street out, and then from 40th west for the Ybor, which is tracked over to Nebraska Avenue. And then I'll ask them to put it in by street so that it comes up with that. And then just on active cases.
that would be ideal, because truthfully, we don't care about the case number, we don't care about the date.
Right.
But if they can do 9th Avenue, all of 9th Avenue from wherever your boundaries are, we can go and draw a line where 22nd split something or Gary.
And we're just going to do active cases.
Right,
Okay.
right, oh, yeah.
Yeah, not anything that was open prior, like in October, but it's since closed or since come into compliance.
And the reason why the case numbers are important is because then we can track what's going on with the case. We can go into.
It's a lot easier in Excel, and excuse me for interrupting, because when David and I had a discussion on it, because being sensitive, if you try to put it in a certain way in Excel, it won't accept it. If you put the case number in, it's going to pull that case like that. So then it's easier to navigate. Excel is not the easiest program to navigate. I understand that. What we were doing 10 years ago, but if it's difficult for you on your end, it's difficult even for us to make entries into the case itself because there's a lot of steps as it was, as I explained to David. Prior to this, we were dealing with a DOS-based system, and we could actually do a case that had overgrowth accumulation in upper vehicles. We could open up the one case in less than 2 minutes, which now takes between 5 and 10, depending on what needs to be done if the zoning review or anything. There's more steps up along the way. But that being said, it's what we have. And your input is important in whatever you can. I'll reach out to the IT and we'll have a conversation right then while I'm there. So.
We realize the case, and I didn't vote for sending on the backwards. And like David said, I realize the case is important, but they're chronologically by date where I have to go see their side, my side, that side.
Yep, we can switch that around to go by street.
Thank you.
Any other questions for code enforcement? Mr. Stewart?
Some of the notable stats and highlights from January for us, bills and stickers removed, 318. That's just a quick stat as far as if somebody put up 15, 20 stickers in a day, and our team removes it before it's ever seen in the district, before the district opens up. Graffiti removed, 64. That was actually a little bit lower than the previous month. And these are all on infrastructure. So the infrastructure clean statistic is another one at 936 that I want to highlight. That's obviously a little bit higher. We can clean all those infrastructures. And then on the safety highlight side, biggest ones to me are honestly the homeless count was up for January. This is done by a daily count by one ambassador, and it's compiled over the month. You should actually see this number decrease coming up, but the number did increase for the January timeframe, which also factored into our graph on the bottom, which is the sit, lie, sleep, comply, and sit, lie, sleep, non-comply. These two stats are when somebody's either sitting on private property or laying on the sidewalk blocking public thoroughfare. Be engaged and basically, how are you doing? Are you doing okay today? Welcome to Ybor kind of thing. And then do you need any assistance? And then can you please either open the right of way or vacate the private property? There's a public notice posting. They don't want to vacate. It goes under non-comply and contacted you. So these stats, like I said, although you see the increase in homeless count, you also see the increase in the compliance and non-compliance. So it's pretty much the same, just the number was larger as far as the times it occurred. But again, moving forward, we should see all three of these numbers decrease. Any questions for me? Thank you.
Thank you, Jason. Then we have a couple presentations on the agenda today. The first one is water efficiency rebates. Ryan Smith with City of Tampa, water conservation, and Amelia Brown, Tampa Water. Floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ryan Smith, City of Tampa Water Department Conservation and Efficiency Team. I'm just going to tell you about some of the resources you have available to you as residents, business owners in this area. Couple things I've clicked down on the table here. Most of the papers. I don't know if you all have them in the back. I will get you some. So. Pass these down. We've got some coupons for free indoor retrofit kits. This is an example of some of the items we have available. Got a pamphlet on our outdoor watering programs and restrictions, and of course we've got a flyer on how to test your quality leaks. Now, the two kits we give out, the resources you can get, go to Tampa Connect. I think we use the CAPTCHA on the coupons on your table. You can go there and get this item directly. So our info retrofit kit, basically one per account holder, but some of you have multifamily residences. We actually have a multifamily evaluation program, and that feeds into rebates we'll get to in a moment. But with the items in this kit, independently, lost my shower head. It's typically a shower head, a couple of aerators. So we can set you up with 1 gallon per minute aerator, shower head, adjustable high efficiency shower head that goes from 1.5 gallons per minute down with a pause button. Aerators for 1 gallon per minute for the bathroom sinks. Which we got kitchen sink aerators here. Intake, dive packets, that's toilets. And of course, we can give out toilet clappers. Replace clappers and toilets if you find a problem with your desk. We also started an outdoor kit. We want to raise awareness of outdoor water use. You can use the same link to get that. Go on that CAPTCHA to Tampa Connect. Apply for that to sign up for outdoor kit. We have find it, flag it, fix it. Flags, hard to say that fast. You can detect leaks in the irrigation systems. A lot of our drinking water goes to irrigation, so we're very aware of that. And if any of you have irrigation systems you'd like evaluated, we have an irrigation evaluation program. Myself or some of my teammates will come out to your site. We'll look at your irrigation system settings, look for leaks, and kind of help you find more efficient ways of doing that. So that's a free service that we offer to Tampa residents and our customers. All these items are free charge that we apply. So other fun things are in there. And just the main one being irrigation evaluation program. So for single family residences, one that gets about other information on there. We want to talk about yard phase 1, modified phase 1, excuse me, water shortage right now. So we're down to 1 day a week based on the address number. You can find this pamphlet that will detail that. And that does if it's going to continue for the next couple of months. Your day is determined by the last number in your address. See a little table here that tells you about that. And it's for any business or residents in the city. If you need assistance with this, again, we found irrigation evaluation. Just contact me at my office. You can reach us at savewater@tampa.gov or our website tampa.gov/savewater. Oh, of course, we also offer free rain sensors to our customers. Every irrigation system should have a rain sensor installed. Get on that if necessary. Any questions?
Start going to take you to Tampa.com. What do I click on? Free indoor.
Should be water conservation. I think the options will be changing soon. Working it out to make it simpler, but it'll be a water conservation service request. Say water conservation devices. And from there should ask you some questions. You have to get past the map. Just hit next. And you have to get past.
Yeah, not fine.
If you want to.
Okay. All right, well, while he's working on the app. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amelia Brown. I work at Tampa Bay Water. Haven't heard of us. We provide drinking water to counties of Pasco, Pinellas, Hillsborough, and the cities of Tampa, St. Petersburg, and Newport Richey. We provide water to the city of Tampa on an as-needed basis. But the group of us, the 3 counties and cities and Tampa Bay Water, got together to partner on a water conservation rebate program that's been running for the last 4 years. I just want to highlight some of the opportunities to save money, save water for you, whether you're a property owner, so whether you own your home, you own a business, or you own an apartment building. So we provide rebates on water saving devices. So we're talking about things like toilets, for the residential sector, toilets and outdoor irrigation rebates. And then for the multifamily sector, we do toilet rebates, shower head, aerator, landscaping, and similar types of rebates for the businesses. And we try to be creative with businesses and industry and multifamily with our customizable rebate. If you have a way to save water, we have money to put toward that. If it doesn't fit into one of sort of our prescribed rebate types. And I wanted to highlight some of the results from our multifamily rebates, which have definitely been our most successful rebate opportunities. So just through replacing the toilets, the shower heads, and the aerators in apartment buildings, these properties where we've done rebates have dropped their water usage by more than 50%. So that means not only are they reducing their water bill, they're reducing the wastewater bill. And the wastewater portion of your bill may be the most expensive part of the water bill that you receive. And a lot of businesses and business owners may consider the water bill to be a cost of doing business. Maybe even someone else pays the water bill. But when you really look at it, there might be substantial savings opportunities. Your building has fixtures from even 10 years ago, but certainly 20 and 30 years ago. Those toilet fixtures and aerators and shower heads are using more water than is needed. The customers have been very happy with the new devices that were installed. We don't install the device, we don't choose the device. You have the choice of the device. Just most of them have to be a WaterSense labeled device, which is an EPA third-party certification that verifies it uses less water and it performs well. So in your packets, I've passed around a little flyer that sort of shows what the financial savings have been to these. This is just 2 case studies. We've probably done 15 multifamily properties. These are really great results, but they're not the only ones. We didn't cherry pick like the only 2 that saved a lot. All of these apartment buildings are saving a lot of water. When you change out a toilet in a single family home, you're not going to see a dramatic drop like this because half of the water in your house might be going toward your landscape if you have an irrigation system. So in a home, looking at how your irrigation system is functioning is the first place to look for water savings. So if you've been paying attention to your water bill over the last 5 years, you've probably noticed it didn't go down. The cost of water is not going down across the country. The cost of water is increasing and becoming competitive with the cost of electricity. And so more people are starting to realize the benefits of investing in water conservation. We're here to help you do that. The cost of our rebates offsets the upfront cost, and then you realize the financial savings month after month after that. If you're interested to learn more, I've got my business card stapled to the flyers that had some more information about the Tampa Bay WaterWise program. Can I answer any questions?
You don't have anybody that reaches out to customers, let's say I got a $350 water bill and have no clue why. I know they'll give you a one-time credit. You have to call a plumber and he's got to trace it. So is there any easier way to get around to deal with the city on a water bill?
Well, high bill investigations, thing we deal with frequently. I deal with more chronic high use, I have consistently $400 bills. But we do have a team that goes out and does acute problems like a single $400 bill, and it's called a high bill investigation. So if you contact our call center, they can protect those people. The rebate you mentioned, it's like a one-time leak adjustment, basically. So you have to have a plumber or some sort of receipt for repair. It can be as simple as a receipt for a sprinkler head from a hardware store, but some evidence to show that you did repair a leak. And they're going to look at analysis of your building data, basically average use versus how much you use, and they'll adjust it down for the tier structure. So you still have to pay for the water. They will adjust the tier rate down. I believe you can get a rebate for your wastewater charge as well.
You have a number?
The number, just one moment, I'll find it for you.
And I'm just curious, it hasn't happened recently, but the rebate that they gave me on a $350 bill is $70. That's what do you want to?
Well, the bill's always $325, Fran, you know.
What?
The bill's always $325, you know, it's not really
Of course, the 2 biggest things leading to high bills like this that we find are indoor toilet leaks and, of course, irrigation system leaks or faulty programming of irrigation systems.
We are in a drought condition 1 day, I think you guys said right there.
That's right. 1 day a week. It's based on the last digit.
Ron, can they go through Tampa Connect on it?
Tampa Connect for high bill investigation? Possibly. I'm not sure about that. I'll give you my card. You can just contact me there. Of course, anybody else has any questions, you have my card as well. Reach out.
I want to share with you something.
Any other questions about that?
Thank you for your presentation. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Our next presentation is by, recommendations. I think we'll have the whole team here, and we want to make that presentation larger.
Yeah, oh, bring it up. Okay.
Hey, Brenda or Chair Simmons,
Hello, yeah.
the folks, the remote folks are not seeing any presentations if they're being shared.
There hasn't been a virtual one yet. This one's gonna be the first virtual one. Can she see that?
Thank you.
Can you see it now, B?
Should start going.
Can y'all see it now?
We can, thank you.
Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are your grant exhibit. So if you are interested in applying for any commercial grants, we are. My name is Dee Reed. I'm the Economic Development Coordinator, and my team consists of
In February 2023.
Haven, Corrine Lennebrink, Vanessa Ross, and we also have Brett Burks, who is not with us tonight, but he is also on our team. We're here today to provide an update on our new grants restructure, the new policy, and proposed changes that we're making to our current portfolio. The presentation will include a lot of information, so we ask that you please save your questions to the end. And then we are passing out notepads to the CAC members. So if you are a CAC member, please raise your hand. You'll get a notepad as well as a copy, paper copy of the presentation. What we're asking you to do is jot down your questions as you think of them, so that when we do our question and answer session at the end, you'll be able to ask those questions that we asked the whole today. At the end of the presentation and the question and answer, we will collect the notepads. We will be using the questions and feedback as a part of our initial round of evaluations of the grant that we, take. If you are a CAC member and you have not gotten a notepad and presentation, please raise your hand again. That one right here. All of you? If you're not a CAC member and you would like a copy of the presentation, we have some as well. If there's anyone that, is it just one person? 2, 3?
No,
Strict limits.
These two at this table and gentlemen.
You need a copy of it, Brenda? You need a copy.
And then.
One for Brenda. One for Brenda.
I'll take one for the folder.
Yeah. All right, and so I'll ask that you turn your attention to the screen.
In February 2023, the CRA board approved the restructure of the CRA. One aspect of that restructure was the creation of a dedicated grants management team supporting all 10 community redevelopment areas.
Please forgive the delay on this slide.
In February 2023, the CRA board, following the workshop held last year, it was determined that the 3 areas that needed to be addressed are internal organization, bylaws, and grants. This presentation will focus solely on the grants audit and the recommendations to the commercial grant portfolio. As a result of the CRA board retreat held in June 2023, the board established this mission and vision for the agency. Our 5 focus areas are attainable housing, connectivity, economic development, quality of life, and community engagement. Grants are a major tool for community redevelopment, but have been underutilized. Our goals for the grants are for them to reflect the revised vision, mission, and goals of the CRA, respond to the priorities outlined in the area's Community Redevelopment Plan, often referred to as a CRP, reduce and consolidate the number of grants and applications, contain user-friendly language and clearly outline eligible criteria and award amounts, and support a streamlined application process. Concerns and priorities were relayed to the CRA managers and documented in their interviews with staff and consultants. We took a closer look at all grants offered across the 10 CRAs and compared them to the best practices internally and successful grants in other communities.
The CRA manager interview findings include: overall, few grants were used, and some areas report high utilization as only 3 completed grants in a year. Grants not being used as intended, and grants not necessarily tied to any goals in the CRA plans. They also include areas for improvement and consideration, such as improved access to grant funds, clearer communications in grant marketing, addressing means or access to capital, and ongoing evaluation of the grants. The assessment of our grant inventory revealed inconsistency in grant offerings across CRA areas, insufficient award amounts. For example, the upstairs residential conversion grant was $7,000 per unit, which does not cover the cost of a renovation. And grants were created to address narrow scopes. For instance, the objective of a grant whose goal is to attract a sit-down restaurant could be broadened to attract a variety of missing neighborhood amenities. All grants should be guided by best practices, and to ensure they do, we ask the following questions. Is the intent of the grant an allowed use of CRA funding per Florida Statute, Chapter 163, Part 3? Does the outcome align with the priorities expressed in the CRP? Does the outcome align with the mission and vision? And are the funds in the current budget, or will it require a reprogramming for a future fiscal year?
Some of the proposed efficiencies include improvements eligible under the CRA board approved standard grants would be approved administratively, allow the use of one application to apply for multiple grants, including stacking up to 3 standard grants per property, and mitigate the financial burden for applicants who already have a financial investment in the area. The audit revealed that multiple grants had been created to address a narrow purpose or had a similar focus. Those could be consolidated into grants with a broader scope. Other grants, which are being strategically sunset, were created for uses that will be transitioned to the CRA Project Management Division. On the next slide is the final list of grants being proposed, which have been tied back to the CRA focus areas. We propose simplifying the grants into 3 standard grants a special project grant, and a tax increment funding reimbursement grant to come. The arrows to the left highlight the focus areas supported by the proposed grant.
These are the overall changes being proposed. Revising grant award amounts with respect to cost estimates, historical program data, and area budgets. Increasing the ability for applicants to stack up to 3 standard grants in one application. Refining eligibility criteria by allowing commercial tenants to apply. Defining scoring criteria which incorporates CRA priorities in the grant description documents. Expanding grant offerings to allow for mixed-use projects. Prioritizing high-traffic roadways. Not requiring proof of matching funds up front. Allowing credit toward matching funds for legacy property owners. Creating a universal grant application. Establishing one-on-one pre-application assistance to ensure successful applications. Creating a central application intake location. Reducing application processing times by removing layers of review. Developing a grant tracking program and providing a regular project status check-in between award and reimbursement. The proposed grants were cross-checked with the area plans to ensure that the recommendations reflected the priorities expressed by the community. The next slide in your presentation printout is a reference table which outlines the CRP sections for your CRA area that supports each of the proposed standard grants. As we've described, the proposed grant portfolio will expand access to grant funds to meet the needs of the community. Reports that are being built into the new tracking software will provide valuable information on grant utilization and will be used in the ongoing evaluations of the grants to support potential improvements. In addition, we will examine the performance of the grants against the community needs, construction costs, and changes in the economy as a part of the annual budget process. These will be the metrics and outcomes we will utilize to evaluate the performance of the proposed grants. We thank you for your time and attention during our presentation. At this time, we are available for any questions you may have listed on your notepad about the proposed grant portfolio. Staff will be collecting the notepads following the Q&A session. Thank you.
Vanessa, I want to activate a timer. We do have to, after we leave here, we have to go present to another CAC. So she's going to set the timer. I believe we have about 15 minutes that we can do question and answer. We can have questions.
And we see from our packet that you have some grants outlined for Ybor City 1 and 2. Are you gonna kind of go through those real quick, or?
So we won't go through the grants particularly because they're still under the wording, the document description things are still under review from legal. And so I don't want to give you information that could change. Those items will be presented and discussed during the board meeting on March 21st. And so if you ask that everyone, or I recommend that everyone tune in to that meeting if you can. And then you'll get more detailed information on the entity.
When is that meeting?
March 21st. And that will be the presentation to the CRA board. But we wanted to reach out and kind of give you an overview of what changes we're looking at and take your feedback so that any changes we need to incorporate can be done before we present to you. But if you have, I can kind of give you some general information if you have specific questions. Actually, it's not project specific, but more general grant specific type questions.
I feel like there hasn't been enough information here for us to provide comment as far as, advisory comment to go back to the CRA, to the board.
That's Carolyn Rhodes. She's a CAC member. She's just very sick today. So she's hi, Carolyn.
I mean, it seems to me that, you're streamlining the process. You're consolidating the grants across all the CRAs. The one that I'm most familiar with myself is the facade improvement grant. I've reviewed those in the past, and that's a great program here in the historic district, but it may not apply as much in other districts. So it seems like you kind of outlined one, the heavy hitters in these districts. And I think I think we're all kind of familiar with where the grants go and consolidation as a CRA, but what are these grants? I think our question, what are these grants in the Ybor? What can they do for us?
So what I can say is that, and I'll give you more general, basically the facade is gonna be an exterior grant. It's gonna cover exterior improvements to the property. Cigar will cover interior improvements to the property. We've taken the individual smaller grants that may be focused on more specific improvements. And instead of having 5 grants that cover things exterior, we've taken all of those improvements and put it in one grant. So where one aspect of facade may be more heavily used in Ybor, maybe some of the other improvements may be a little more heavily used in a different district. However, still one grant. So we kind of more so made the grant have a broader scope. It still provides all of the things that you're getting, but having to apply for multiple grants. Now you're getting them under one. We more so focused on improving the process. Review time, the time it takes from application to approval. We focused heavily on trying to decrease that. I think I'm trying to make sure I cover everything.
Sure, and I'll fire away with some questions here. So cigar grant, you mentioned that. I see the acronym here. It's tied to economic development. What does that entail? Is that commercial interior?
Cigar is interior, commercial.
What's the GAR for?
Can you tell them the acronym? Again.
Commercial Interior Grant for Area Redevelopment.
And it was just kind of meant to kind of pay a little homage to the cigar history within the district.
Wow.
I'm sorry.
That's the thing I said, I appreciate it.
They thought about it.
And I'm telling you, that is thanks to Vanessa. That was Vanessa's idea. We actually had a semi-competition in the office.
We sure
where
did.
Everybody submitted suggestions. And then we had administration, but they didn't know who submitted which one. And so that was chosen out of, everybody kind of enjoyed the idea that we kind of tied it back to the district.
What is the differences, I guess, from what we were used to seeing with the facade, which is now? And then before there was not an interior that I remember. What would that be?
So at the risk of saying something that may change, I can tell you in terms of one thing that is I'm confident won't change is facade is going to be facade. As it is today, you're leveling out.
Your max number and
All grants will have a maximum grant. That's set. I can't give you the details on the individual grant until it's approved. Again, I've got to get that back from legal before I got those details. Those will be specified on March 21st. But what I can tell you is facade right now, you left out any portion of the building that is not seen from the right of way. Now, if it's facade, it's facade. If you're painting the building, it's gonna cover the whole building, as opposed to lessening out the back and maybe the side that might be obstructed from the right of way.
other aspects.
Correct.
What's the interior one?
Interior is really just gonna help with interior improvements. Say, for example, I'm gonna convert an office building to a restaurant. Well, there's gonna be some upgrades or installations that you're gonna have to install. You're gonna have to probably put a three-compartment sink, or might have to put some industrial vent. Any leasehold type of improvements, that grant would assist with those. It would be things that if the business left, those things would have to stay with the building. So it wouldn't do to cover things like furniture or fixtures that you can take down and move with the business. But if you leave, that space is still there that another restaurant can come in and benefit from
improvement.
That include like ADA, handicap toilets and HVAC and all that?
Yes.
I'll be your first test case.
Everyone would apply to that.
I would hope that everyone applies for all of the grants. That's what we're shooting for.
But one question there, I think that the community infrastructure needs, that's neither facade nor interior. And listening to Brittany, they were a recipient of one, and that's definitely economic development. Will that fall under another program now?
So if it's infrastructure in terms of on private property, then, you know, we look at how it can fit into the interior or exterior improvement. If it's infrastructure that takes place on public property, those are one of the ones that we mentioned would shift over to be managed under the CRA project, department, project management department. And just kind of to give you some understanding of why that is, technically, as a private property owner, you can't come in and apply for a grant to make improvements in the public property. But you can inform us of an issue that's occurring within the district. And then the CRA can sit and look at funding and figure, and we can treat it as a project. So it's a project that the CRA would kind of basically administer, and our project management team would facilitate that.
Two questions. Is there a cap on the grants? I didn't see any dollar amounts in here. Are there caps on them?
There are maximum grant amounts, and that's set based on the budget of funds that have been allocated for grants. Right now, obviously, we have to work with, how the budget is set up, and this one area that only. Okay, so here, the budget that was set for facade, I see that money would roll over for facade, but we sat down with the CRA managers, looked at where we could move money from other areas that had been allocated and haven't been used, or there's nothing planned to use, and we've kind of moved some money mentally. We haven't actually moved those until we get an approval, but we kind of placed those funds in there in order to help set a maximum. I can't give that number until you present to the board.
I just didn't know if I didn't hear you talk about money or cap it. So,
Yes,
and then my second question, and if you talk about this, I'm sorry, I was tracking along and
It's okay.
you've got TIF reimbursement grant. Can you tell me, what is that? If you spoke about it, I missed it. I can't find it.
I didn't. Generally, so I can just kind of tell you generally how TIF reimbursement works. It basically is for more larger scale projects. And it would basically refund a certain percentage of the tax increment of that property to the developer.
Okay, and I guess I have a third question, and this would be silly. Connectivity. At first I saw it and I kept thinking our 5G towers we have down here that were a big project. Is this mobility connectivity, walking trail? I'm not sure what you mean when you speak of connectivity on here. I don't know what that is.
Oh, that's our special projects grant. So, right, so yes, think in terms of, and this isn't specific to anything, just to give you an idea. I'm coming in, I'm developing larger scale type projects. We could use CRA funds a lot of times to leverage maybe them improving pedestrian crosswalk.
Okay, so it's mobility connectivity. Okay, thank you. That's just all I want to clarify.
Specific more so with that type of a grant because there's a different process somewhat for those.
Okay.
Okay, one more question. Will there be a lien placed on the properties or any clawback provisions on the agreements?
So for the commercial grants, there's not a lien. We are trying to move away from lien. There are restrictive covenants. Those will be placed on grants above a certain dollar amount. And that will it won't be on the sale of the property, I think, as they are today. It will be on the future use. So there are certain businesses like adult uses that the CRA doesn't want to support. And so it would just be in place so that if that business leaves and we've invested in the building or the property, that a use that we don't want to support is not able to come in. Yeah. And that would automatically fall off at the end of the grant period.
But our goal is not to tie up, your property, and we don't want to take it. So we were very adamant that we want to get away from them.
So one of your items that you have on your circular thing here is attainable housing. But I didn't, if you presented a grant, that kind of spoke to that, again, I must have been in left field, I missed it. Because I'm not seeing anything that speaks specifically to attainable housing
Right.
in the grant opportunity.
Right, so we are commercial, we deal with the commercial grants only. So there won't be anything in our portfolio that speaks to attainable housing.
Got it.
That would come from the residential changes that are coming from, and those will be presented.
And so there's a commercial grant group, which is you.
Yeah.
And then there's a residential grant. So if I'm a single homeowner in the community, in the boundary, then I could technically apply for a grant based on the fact that my project falls into whatever the grant criteria there is.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so if there's any, I can have time for one more question. There is one. Oh, right, we timed that perfect.
Thank you.
You're welcome, and as you see on that second to last page, our contact information is there. If you think of more questions, feel free to reach out. This button here is on the left. And I can click on that. You can submit an application, and it will go directly to admin, and they will facilitate it.
Okay. If I ask and answer my questions, do I have to turn in my notepad? I could use this.
You just the sheet. Yeah.
I didn't write anything down. I just asked them.
Well, we do need the yellow ones back because we're going to the next.
Oh, you can have those. I don't care. I got a little white one. I'm gonna have.
Thank you for a great presentation. We'll move it along. Great.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, next up is CAC Sheriff Fort Dundee. On Thursday. Okay, one. Which one? Hey, so, city council meeting on, Thursday morning, 2/29 at 9 a.m. is the special call meeting for talk about housing in the city of Tampa. Affordable housing, attainable housing, all those things. So I want to put it on everyone's, radar that we've been talking about this at the CAC and the YCDC for years about what's the plan for attainable housing and affordable housing. I think there's 2 agenda items on that meeting. There's a special call for city council. So I think they're going to kind of work with staff and discuss what needs to happen. I know I listened to the council or CRA board meeting lately. They're so Thursday morning, 9 a.m. You can follow online, stream it, or go there in person. I just want to put that on everyone's radar. At the last CRA board meeting, February 8th, some of the discussion we've had in the past, the CRAs and expanding, talk about doing that in other districts in the city. There's also been talk in our district here about maybe that south area that goes down to Adamo. And the discussion is, well, can we expand it or not? Really, you can't really expand it. Have to be a new CRA district. So there was some talk about creating CRA Ybor 3 for that area. General comments at CRA board didn't really seem too favorable about creating new CRAs at this point in time. So I just want to kind of keep you guys in the loop about what's happening there. I think that area we're going to have next month, the presentation on some additional things that happened in the Adamo corridor with the CRP, community redevelopment plan, future land use, and things that are happening in that area. So I think next month we'll get into a little bit more detail about that with the report. I'm going to talk about 16th Street. Do you want to cover that? But the drainage study.
Oh, yeah, I'll come. Well, next one. I'll let this one go.
So one thing that was brought up during public comment by Carissa was 1509 East 8th Avenue. That's Club Sky. So a big picture there. The club owner is interested in selling or not being involved with the club anymore. They've approached certain property owners in the area, which spoke to some of us about trying to see what we can do. Other CRAs, we haven't done this. This Ybor CRA hasn't purchased buildings in the past, but other CRAs have to help prevent blight, or I think West Tampa, which has numerous buildings that they purchased to enhance the neighborhood. Certain property owners don't really have a use for that property, but we've been asked to consider the use of CRA funds for purchasing that building and turning it into a community space for all to use. Theater type of space. Some organizations that have been mentioned of being potential tenants on a rotating basis. Everything's kind of loose right now, just, conversations. Maybe Tampa Ballet or the neighborhood associations could have their meetings there, or different ATC groups, or any, or some space in Ybor to support their mission, really, would be able to use that space. My understanding is that there's one apartment above for a live-in manager there. I've never been in the space. So I think this board has always had the issue of how are we spending the affordable housing money that was taken from our budget. This has one component that could be, it's a minimal, it's only one unit, but I think we've always been vocal about not being able to spend that money on affordable housing within our CRA districts. So this may be one potential avenue to go to explore, and everything else that we just heard about the grants coming forward and how that money is going to get spent, presented to city council. So that should provide some clarity. So right now it's a discussion of what can happen with that property. I think we all share some sentiment that that property doesn't have the best track record. I think it's always been a goal of this organization to kind of clean things up. So it might be an opportunity to do that. I'd open it up for discussion right now. I think right now it's a discussion. It's an exploration. I'd like to get some feedback from everyone here to see if that's a direction that we want to go in. There's a few steps that would be the next steps to make that happen. So at that, dealing with the process with the city, I think there's a couple of things that would have to happen in the next steps if we do decide this is something that we're interested in pursuing. The owner would need to be contacted to verify that they're interested. 2 appraisals would need to happen because of that property value is over $500,000. So that would take probably about 30 to 45 days and have 2 different appraisals, as well as a title search done to determine what that process is and if there's interest. But I'd like to open it up for discussion now, see if there's a general feeling, consensus, interest, hatred of the idea. What's that?
Did it say how much?
Well, I think the city is kind of limited to pay what market value is. The discussions haven't got that far to say, hey, what that sale price is. So I think the city would be limited to paying what the fair market value is. There is a process, I understand, that if the price is above fair market value, it could be determined that that price is negotiated, but it would require a supermajority vote of CRA board. So at this point, I think it's kind of worth exploring to see if that's something that we could do here. But first, I want to see if there's a general sentiment to say, is this something we want to get involved in? And again, we're sitting as a CAC here to make a recommendation to the CRA board to see if they're interested in purchasing some.
I've been in that club, so
sure.
Just it's gonna need some cleanup and stuff like
sure.
that. 200,000, just you want to make it into a community center space.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to start dropping money and cleaning it all out up in there.
Right. I mean, there's a purchase price, and I think to get the first couple things that we need to do, the 2 appraisals and the title search is probably about 21,000 that we could make a recommendation to the CRA board that this is something that we're interested in pursuing. And then after that, we'll see how the money, gets sorted out. But it's, we have that attainable housing. It's been talked about that that's maybe a use for this money that we could use at affordable housing and at least get one unit in there, maybe expand it to a couple other units of in-house residents there, so.
Footage, do you know?
I don't know offhand. I've never been in the building.
Pretty big club.
It's pretty big. I know it's a double height space.
That's our area too.
Does it have windows?
No.
No. Yeah, so it's a big, dark
It's a
box.
perfect black box.
That's what exactly what I was thinking.
It is your.
Yeah, it's got some windows up front, but not under the arch, but very, very minimal. But it's got a stage in there, so it could be used for black box performances and.
And around to like the only, just like it's in there.
Yeah.
So,
So I want to preface my comments by saying that if this group decides to make a recommendation, I'm going to recuse myself because we would potentially be beneficiaries of if we wanted to make that a recommendation. But I will say that from the standpoint of a neighboring property to ours, we feel very strongly that a different use for that property would be something that we would be in favor of. We have a parking lot that is adjacent to that property, which obviously the city manages for us, and is a revenue generator for us. But in terms of if there were a different use, that would be something that we could negotiate with the city in terms of parking for whatever that use would be. So that's something that we could leverage. In general, we have a lot of difficulty with the behaviors that follow the activities in the clubs when the clubs are closing, or after they're closed, that continue in certain parking lots, like the one that I'm referring to that is most adjacent to that property. And that involves, breaking of windows and other, people entering buildings and those kinds of things. So those are things that we can't tie to that particular club, but certainly it is one of the ones that we know is part of the culprit of the larger issue. So anything that, that would benefit a different use, that would be less of that type of use, we would certainly be in favor. And one of the things that has been discussed, I think all of you know, we have 2 theaters on our campus, a larger stage and then a small, similar to what a black box theater would be. We don't necessarily see that as competition for us. We might be engaged in conversations about rehearsal space for our theater programs or our dance programs. So there's potential opportunity there. And that's why I would recuse myself, but I wanted to just share kind of what our perspective is currently.
the other thought I have with it is, and I'm not opposed to it, we're just throwing out thoughts and ideas, is we would have to have someone who maintained it. So are we hiring a staff to do that? Are we pursuing the effort of another organization within the community to maintain it, right? Things like that. So I'm thinking more of the long term of, okay, how would we run it and how would we maintain it? Because if it's our building, we would have to then maintain it in some fashion. And my other question is, does it become our building or does it become the city's building?
Well, this would be, we are a citizen advisory committee, so we're a community advisory. So we're making a recommendation that the CRA board should look into this. And I think there's a lot of conversation I'm hearing in city council and CRA boards is what CRA, what city, and how do they interact? There's a lot of redefinition going on, how that works. So it would definitely be a form of CRA city type of enterprise. We are just making a recommendation if that's something that we feel would be beneficial to the area. And we don't have anything specific at this point in time, but we could perhaps craft a motion to say we want to
encourage you to look.
We want to explore
And I
this
agree.
further.
I'm not opposed to it. I'm not opposed to exploring it or looking at it. But I think in that, if we're coming to the table saying, we encourage you to explore this, I think we need to come to the table with some ideas of how this would benefit our community. This is why we think you should explore this. And maybe we're too soon for that in the conversation.
Yeah, well, I was gonna ask the same thing, but we own by Tampa CRA, not the CAC or the city of Tampa. I'm wondering if there is any split there. And build on who would run this, turn it over to City Parks and Rec. They have their own.
To be president, we already used to build our CRAs done, already purchased buildings, so.
To some
That
degree,
may have to be
to some degree.
operations and maintenance. Do ourselves in perpetuity, or will we have Tampa Parks and Recs handle it? I mean, where would this go?
It would be the city's responsibility. I mean,
And they do.
CRA and city.
Yeah, I mean, it would become, okay, you buy it with public dollars. Even though it'll be CRA dollars, it's a public building, okay? There's a lot of ways you can do this. Other CRAs actually contract with, some CRA, I just got back from Delray Beach, they run like an artist warehouse and they do it. They actually staff it. Some CRAs, they work with other groups. They do it, contract it out or something like that, or you do it with the Parks Department. That's way down the line. Right now, this issue was introduced under public comment. Okay, it's not even on our agenda. So for you guys to, and Rich has taken it so that we can have a little bit more discussion on it. Thank you, Chris, for bringing it forward. This is an opportunity, okay? It's an opportunity. First of all, the owner's not here. I've zero conversation with the owner. I mean, we're talking about someone else's property, okay? And we think he's gonna sell it, which is okay, that's fine. But it's early on. I know it's not on the market. What you can do today is do two things. You can say, hey, I like the idea as a group, and maybe direct staff to look to, number one, reach out to the owner, see if he's willing to sell, and then work with our real estate department to do an appraisal. Because you don't even know what the feasibility is of acquiring it. I will tell you right now, we have $2 million sitting in that account. That's for affordable housing, attainable housing. That's it. We had like 1 million from last year and like 900 from the year before. So every year that 30% was being taken out, and it's just set aside. But the intent of that was for affordable housing. That's how one unit. So, you know, there's a lot, but you could do that today. You could direct staff to get the ball rolling on it a little bit, do some exploration. and come
You're
back to
staff,
it.
right?
I'm staff. Well, a staff, and since there's more than me, I would obviously bring it up the chain and, you know, I don't, but y'all are advisory board. You know, we do have money in our budget for these kind of, to do appraisals. Other CRAs have done appraisals before on property. Doesn't mean you're gonna buy the property. You've got to assess it. Honestly, it's fair market value unless there's a super majority of the elected officials, CRA board, that votes for it. So that's kind of where we're at, you know, how the market is today, but we're happy to do whatever you would like to do.
I have a quick question.
Yes. Hi,
For
Carolyn.
Brenda, I mean, would something like this even be applicable, or that you could even use these affordable / sustainable housing dollars for? You were talking about it having one unit in it, in addition to it being a community center. It doesn't sound like something that we could even apply that towards. That's my question. But then my comment is, otherwise, I would almost say it might be worth to ask staff to do maybe an assessment of all available properties. I'm just thinking about, is this the best spot to direct our efforts to, or would there, if we wanted to do something like this in our community, is there another location that would be more appropriate?
Good point.
Yeah, and I think that the issue has always been, people have been trying to find how to use this affordable money, affordable housing money in the district. And it's always been an issue that we've had. Yes, it's only one unit, but we can say you can't add more units to it. You know, it could be something that we could add 10 units above and make it like an art house. You know, like an art house that knows a proper term for another project going on, but it's something that, you know, you could have resident performers in this space. So there's a lot of potential. I think it's worth meriting, you know, some additional study, and it has some opportunity, and you know, I think you know, there's progress being made with, you know, some of the more you know, clubs that might not be the best neighbors. So this is maybe another opportunity for that as well. David.
It has one place stay, so it does qualify technically. There are not that many buildings available. That's why we're talking about this one. And the people, I'm sure that you talk to, know what's available and what's not. City it's neglected to get something, their hands on anything. 20 years. So this would be something that they could look at.
Yeah, I think at this point,
Oh.
exploration.
The money, it's always about money, right? Yeah, exploration, I don't want to spend any money, before we find out, like you said, the owner's not here.
You
You
have
do
to
know-
have a voluntary owner. I
Right.
know that for a fact.
Right, so.
City will not go after anything unless
If-
there is a voluntary
Right.
seller.
If we do decide to make a motion, I'd like to get that done first.
That's fine.
And then, not put any money behind it, like say, hey, we're okay to spend this much money. Comps and things around, we can pretty much find out what it is, and I'm sure he'll tell us how much he wants. And then when you find that out, then you can go ahead with what's fair value, what's market. It's difficult in Ybor, but comps are there. We've bought and sold all of these buildings recently, so.
As a process with the city, they will require two commercial appraisals.
Yeah.
They can cost up to $10,000. I learned that today. Because and they'll do a title search. They won't move forward with anything. Number one, you have to have a willing seller. Number two, guys have to say, we're willing to move forward with this, and we're gonna have to invest about $21,000 or up to, I'll say up to, because I think they can probably get it down from that, but that's the worst case scenario.
I think that people don't understand, well, most of you do, but YC1 is business district. There's, I can't think of any place that we could use for that money. So that money's just gonna sit there. There's really no apartments in YC1. YC1 doesn't have any parking or anything like that. It's a very special district. So the idea that it only has one, yes, it's just one, but it might be the only one. And retrofitting more apartments in there is probably not easy to do. But at least it would be something, we talked about money flowing from taxpayers to a person or a developer or whatever. This at least would be something where it would have multiple options. It would serve the community and, it would benefit the community and the person. We're always like, well, who's going to get this place or these places? Maybe they run.
Threw out some examples of PPP here, but really it's open for anyone in the general area. So Phil Festivals.
It has to have community purpose.
Yeah.
Right.
So many organizations in the area.
You're talking about this affordable housing money. Couldn't that be put towards like something that's already being built? Like if they're building these apartments over behind
Nuccio and Seven, what's that?
no, I mean, the ones that are right in the.
Gasworks?
No, I'm talking about.
Also in Bell?
Building these apartments right now.
Like where New World is?
Right behind Tangra, and there's gonna be so many units. Wouldn't there be a way to go to that developer and say, listen, we have X amount of dollars here. Can we get some of these apartment units priced at this price by us offsetting that with our funding? Is that something we can do? If we're saying that there's no
It's not
available
problem, Tom,
apartments?
right now, and this is, great conversation, because the residential conversation, this whole, like we had commercial today, is coming back to you. What scenarios can be made on that? You have, yes, that can happen. A developer could come forward and say, I want to, and actually they've done that with other CRAs, come forward and say, I'll do this many units and I want a tip rebate or I want this. Right now, the developers unfortunately aren't interested in doing affordable housing. The numbers aren't there for them. Not that as at this moment, but I don't know what they're going to come up with. I really encourage everyone to tune in on Thursday to see what they're going to propose, what they're going to discuss, what options are out there. I think anything's on the table. You can be very creative with attainable housing. But that development's already moved forward, and they knew that they could have come to the CRA. They didn't. Nothing was ever come before y'all, right? You never had a special request. I mean, the only thing you have was Gasworks. And you proved that. So, yes.
Well, I mean, on that note, this is relatively new money. I think developers understand affordable housing and attainable housing, but I don't think they yet know how to plug into this program. And I agree with Damon on 99.9% of things. But this is the one case where I would say Ybor City started as a mixed use district. So I don't see CRA one as a business district forever and forever, amen. I think it's going to become more mixed use in the future. I think there will be probably some level of affordable housing, probably by scale, not the type of affordable housing that you're used to seeing. But, right in the middle of New York City, there's affordable housing. It's intermixed with other units within a very nice building. So my second point is, I think whether this is the deal or not, I think this is a very good muscle for the CRA to be exercised. We should understand these opportunities will come up again in the future. How do we approach them without, like Damon said, without spending money that we shouldn't? What's the procedure look like? I think this is going to be a good exercise. So if you're just looking for a motion to say, look into it and let us know how this is going to work, I would make that motion, but I don't want to spend any money.
Okay.
I would second that.
Okay, wait, there's a chair. You got a
So,
motion and second on the floor.
Yeah, I mean,
Let's restate the motion though.
yeah, you want to make it more formal.
My motion is to request that the CRA looks into this opportunity, whatever way they see it,
Okay, so the
without
general,
spending funds upfront.
okay, so could you determine that there's some interest in this opportunity that's worth exploring more, but we don't want to spend any money now. Maybe we work on getting the owner intent clarified. You know, what the person-
Perfect.
Yeah.
the front-
Have the conversation, reach out.
Another idea would stipulate that, could it be something, an entity that just has one apartment for so much space or so much money, Maybe that's for later, huh?
Yeah, and
But it's motion to explore previous retained monies for affordable housing and property purchase.
is that okay? Do we have a second on that? Any discussion on the motion?
I just think it should be CRA staff. There's nothing for the board to react to that. You'll give me some time to go back and have the conversation with our real estate department so they can start making that reach out. We have to see if the owner's willing to.
Yeah.
Right. To sell to the city. Okay, it's not gonna be an easy process. So that would be the first step. Is that good?
I keep trying to find out who this nice lady is that brought this to us.
Oh.
And who do you represent?
I'm Chris. I'm a property manager with CAC Ybor, so.
She's
She
new
works
to the
with Deanne.
CIC.
Yeah,
Yeah,
with Deanne
she's
Baker.
Deanne's
What was her
replacement.
name? I'm sorry.
Okay, so any discussion on the motion on the floor?
Can I hear it one more time? Sorry.
Everybody just.
Like that for a minute.
Okay, so, say Bailey, okay, suggest that CRA staff look into the process of purchasing this property by reaching out to the owner first and then reporting back to this body, CAC.
That
Fair enough?
there's general interest among the CIC to.
But, well, there's no money. You would have to give me a number and you didn't give me a number.
So if there's interest, we have a second. All in favor of said motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And one abstention.
And yeah, we're sorry.
Yeah.
All right, thank you all.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Let's see, next item. Yeah, so, March 21st, I'll be at the CRA board meeting, giving our Ybor, specific update. Every CRA board, CAC does that every once a year,
Right,
maybe,
they invite the
rotates.
chair to give just a face-to-face, an update on what's happening. for
We'll
city.
work on the agenda for that. I think, we talked about the resident worker summary that, HCP put together, maybe talk about breaking, maybe some affordable housing. I don't know. We'll work on some items that we've been working on here and report back to the CRE board. Quick update on YCPC. I'm gonna probably do another, try to schedule another bylaws visioning meeting, probably in March at some point in time. We've, renewed the SunViz account, took Courtney off of there, replaced her, so no city employees are on that anymore. Joyce is continuing to work on pavers, and we're working on updating some of the banking to make it online. So probably sometime around the end of March, we'll try to get together and work on some more visioning. We did have a meeting with Vince Pardo, so that was great, getting some of his institutional knowledge. We might have to try to pull him out of retirement winemaking, maybe help us out a little bit more, but he's a huge help, you know, obviously, and everything. He's been around. He's the original YCDC. And that's all I have for my report.
Okay, very good. Okay, I'll be pretty quick. I don't know if y'all heard, one more thing that the CRA board, yes, it's an honor. I've been asked to be the West Tampa CAC manager, in addition to the Ybor CAC manager. And if y'all don't know this, they meet at 5:30 tonight. So I'm gonna run this meeting to that meeting. But you know, it's an honor. They saw that we had a manager that left. His name was Jesus Nino, and he was working the West Tampa and Drew Park CRAs. Jesus Nino. He's here about 2 years, maybe 3 years. And he went on to be the CRA director in Clearwater. So he got a promotion. And so it kind of freed up these roles. And they need someone to do the role. And I guess they thought that I knew something about CRAs and especially historic districts, because West Tampa is like a young Ybor city in a lot of respects, a lot of, you know, interesting dynamics that are similar there. But so anyway, I'm going to be doing that. But like I said, their meetings are on the same night. I tried to look at moving y'all's meeting, but you know that we are locked in here on this date. Pretty, there's not really a lot of wiggle room now that we have our new space. So, but I did find that we can move their meetings to another Tuesday the week before. So we're going to hope they're going to buy into this tonight. If not, we're going to have to arm wrestle, okay? Because I can't be in two places at once. So that's going on now. And I think it'll be fun. I think it'll be fun to kind of explore what they're doing and see. If y'all don't know, they want to be like Ybor City. So it's always said we love what Ybor has. Okay, well, we'll see. Yeah, we'll try to do more on that. The other thing is there's a date that ended up on the CAC. You know, we've been meeting here and it's working. Everyone seems to be happy. I'm getting great feedback. The April 23rd meeting was the only date I could not secure here originally. And it was so nice that HCC was available that night to go. And so we could still do that. But because April has 5 Tuesdays, we have an opportunity to meet on April 30th in this space. And I just wanted to share that with y'all. If you think that want to keep meeting here, we'll be meeting a week different than we normally in April. I could lock it in and then release the space over at HCC, or we could go to HCC. So it's an option for y'all. I just wanted to share it with you because the opportunity to continue meeting here on a Tuesday came up.
Where's the parking the easiest?
Well, as Larissa. It's a parking. Yeah.
In reality, it's easier here, I will say. It can happen there, but we just have to do a little bit of organizing ahead of time.
So I'll take the pleasure of the board on this one. I
would say keep it or move it to the 30th and keep it here.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I'll lock it in and I'll get you a brand new calendar out. All right. I don't have a motion on this. I just need the will of the group. Okay. And then because go ahead.
Freaking update.
Yeah, I'm getting to this. Okay, I'm getting to this. Yes, we have, actually, I'm gonna kind of tease y'all a little bit because I'm gonna say we have CRA projects report. We are gonna actually have a more in-depth report next month. Y'all know we've been working on the South Ybor pipe mitigation study. The results are almost completed, and that team is gonna be coming here along with our projects team. So we're gonna get results of the study to find out what their recommendations are so that we can plug in maybe some project money to help the situation at Ybor South along with the city, because that is taking in a larger area. So they'll be here next month. And along with that, I'm going to have Melissa Martinez. She is the project's coordinator now. She's got her team, all the VIP projects that are public realm that are going on, including the bricking study is going to be under Melissa. But back to, I can give you a little bit of brick update because we meet on this every 2 weeks. I do not have a confirmed date of when they're going to start. We are in the queue. We have secured 70 pallets of bricks. We have more that are at a yard in port that need to be palletized. We have a contractor that is on board because he's under a city contract. He's got, we're on his queue, so we don't have to go back out to bid. The price came in lower, as you all knew about that. Budget about $900,000, and it's going to be somewhere in the ballpark about $300,000 per block.
But before they can even lay bricks, they still have to go in and bore, meaning they drill. They still drill to make sure. And that's, they're on 2 jobs right now and we're in the queue. I think we're number 3 or 4. So, but I don't have a definitive date. I will tell you this though, you're going to know about it. We have a communication plan that we're putting together on this, very similar to what we did with the archway lights. I kind of tossed out something to the group today that I want to have a groundbreaking that is like lay the first brick kind of thing. I think that'd be fun. So of course it won't be the brick that we actually use. We'll have to, do it professionally, but anyway, I think we'll plan. Lay the first brick. Maybe Lee would like to be involved with this. Lay the first brick kind of groundbreaking. It's just an idea. So anyway, but more to come on this, but it's this year, you guys. If all stars align, we're gonna really start this project between 15th and 17th too. You'll know we're gonna go block by block. Those are the first 2 blocks. So, and the first one you do is always the hardest. So once we get 1 block done, you know how they start to move easier. But
what do you mean by drilling?
They have to bore to look at the base.
Make sure that
I know, they do that. Now the city contractor does this, okay? And it's all part of the process of construction. I know.
We already found out there's not 1 single brick under that.
They're not looking for bricks. They know that, they're looking for the base. They're looking at the base. They want to make sure it doesn't. Well, they make fun. That'll be another media story. So anyway, that's really all I have. The only other thing I want to share with y'all is we're having CAC membership orientation. It's going to be in this room. We have chosen 2 dates. They're both on Mondays, Monday, March 25th or April 1st. I invite everyone to come, all CAC members, not just if you're new, because things have changed, obviously. Come to the CAC training. A lot of you have asked me offline about certain things. It'll be worth your while. We're actually going to have some refreshments. So from 4:30 to 5, don't tell anybody, that's really kind of social time. And then we're going to kick off at 5 o'clock with the CAC training. So you'll learn everything from, basically ethics with, Morris Massey will be there to talk to you from the legal standpoint. We're going to talk about a little bit of CRA 101. You'll know what your role is. Why are you here? Why are you sitting in this room? And what do you do every month and how this all works and what, so we're going to go through all this, I don't know if we'll role play, but we're going to give you the information. We'll give you a nice manual. The folks that have been on the CAC for a while have something. I think y'all got manuals years ago. Well, the manuals are going to be a little bit different because we've got new PowerPoint, new organization to share, same CRP plan, but we're going to update that. So anyway, I encourage you to come. How do you sign up? This is very, very important. You have to go. This is really important. Yeah. All right. You see this flyer? There's a QR code on it. Okay. You have to sign up. Y'all all know how to do QR codes, right?
Brand, you know how many?
Sign up. It asks you a few questions, and then you're in. And so choose one or the other date, not both. You don't have to come to both unless you really, really want to, but you're only going to get one binder. Sorry. So that's going on, and I'm excited. You will be with other CAC members. There are 8 other districts around, so you'll get to meet folks from other CACs. So it'll be a nice little mingling and learning, kind of a lunch and learn. And the last thing, the last thing I know, y'all too. Last thing I have for you guys is a very back page here is DOT. Okay, y'all know, probably the neighborhoods have put this out because they've gotten reach out on it. This is a meeting they're having. It's on the beginning of March 5th. There's a virtual meeting and then there's an in-person on March 7th. This is about the downtown interchange. This has to do with 14th and 15th. So between Ybor and East Tampa, folks, this may be something you want to keep tuning into to see what their plans are and what their schedule is. Other than that,
Homework for West Tampa?
I need a tour. How about lunch?
An idea is that years ago, I tried to designate their cigar factory. And the only support I had was from Dinkfelder, Salsena, and Mulder. And I lost 4th grade. So something to entertain over there. Their cigar factories are protected only because of age. They're not on designated.
Oh, wow.
So we tried to do that.
Most of them opted out too. They give them the option.
Well, but that's something that I met the girls at a restaurant Maura and Missy Martin and all those. I gave them all my stuff and petitions and everything that I did, then they dropped it. But that's something that's really important for over there.
It opens up so many grant
I mean, when you see what's happening to the buildings, they're paying them white, they're doing whatever they want to do to those cigar buildings.
So thank you. Yeah.
Okay, any announcements by members?
Yeah.
Yes, oh, Thursday night.
So that's gonna be great. And I wanted to say congratulations to Ybor for amazing fiesta today on Saturday.
I love that weather.
It was great.
Tampa Bay Beer Week starts this Friday. It goes for 10 days. We extend it. So it starts on Friday. Berry House is having like 5 or 6 events throughout the week. We're doing collaboration beer with Jack's Abbey up in Boston. They're really big lager people. We'll release that. We do our All About Foam event on Sunday, March 10th, which is the end of beer week. We have a ton of people come out for it, and we do beer spiking. So we put a hot rod in beer and caramelize the sugar in it. Makes cool stuff. We're doing a low country boil on that day move. So check out tbbwprobably.com. It's Tampa Bay Beer Week, and you'll find all of the breweries around Tampa Bay are doing stuff. Fun stuff.
David gave you that, but I was gonna congratulate him on his 4-way stop sign at 18th Street. Now we have a 4-way stop at 17th, 18th, and 19th. Oh, you got his 4-way stop sign, but I'm.
There's a lot, I mean, even on 7th Avenue, 7th and 13th, right by Haya, that's new, but.
Now he can go back to just a resident about the chicken.
Tampa Pride next month, March 23rd.
Yeah.
So Tampa Pride next month, parade is already sold out, I heard. They still have more vendor spaces for the fair, but yeah.
What's the parade?
March 23rd, yep, Saturday, March 23rd. Yep.
We're gonna
This
flush
is the
out.
last, I guess it's the last of the parades that are still in Ybor, us and, the Knights crew.
Yeah.
Yeah, because St. Patty's leaving, right?
Yeah, they went downtown. I think that's their 10th, right?
10th year anniversary, so that's a big deal, 10 years, Tampa Pride in Ybor City. So it'll be really nice.
Okay, seeing no other business, we are adjourned. Everyone have a great month, and thank you for all your effort. For the. Yeah, that's not a day.
Stuff like Steve,
The one that, I've always kept with you, right?